All right. Good afternoon to us folks on the West Coast. Good evening to those of you on the East. You see everybody's still kind of rolling in here. Welcome and thank you for spending your afternoon and evening with us here at Marshall Reddick. Today's webinar is on Florida investing, cash flow, and appreciation. Still got a couple folks rolling in here, so give another couple seconds before we get to getting. All right. Perfect. All right, let's get into it. First question for those of you who are just joining us for the first time. What do we do here at Marshall Reddick? Well, we are sort of the trifecta of the real estate investing world. We are not just a full service real estate brokerage. We also have a private lending institution in which you can get loans for anything in the investment real estate world if you're looking for construction or a bridge loan or even a full term loan. We also have property management as well. So that kind of rounds out all three aspects of the investment real estate world. Got a good little blurb here down at the bottom. We make it possible to purchase residential real estate in carefully selected areas of the United States. Our organization provides real estate brokers, contractors, property managers, and access to top resources such as lenders, CPAs, insurance agents, attorneys, and much more. I like that saying, but it's definitely an understatement. We do have a good network of folks around the real estate investment world here in our back pockets, and we like to use them often to give our clients the best possible scenarios. All right, now a little bit of background about me. My name's Thomas Ahola. I'm a realtor advisor here at Marshall Reddick Real Estate. I've been in real estate for quite a few years now. Got into it when I was 23. I've assisted clients both in-state and out-of-state with single-family and multifamily transactions. Started off in the residential realm, got quickly into the investment, and never looked back. I really enjoy it. I'm a licensed California realtor and have been for quite a few years now. And a little known fact, I actually have my degree in real estate. And I come from a family of educators, so it was an easy transition for me here at Marshall Reddick, considering our philosophy really is bound in education. And if you check out a lot of our Learn resource page information, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So save that information as well. We do complimentary consultations, and if you're even just a beginning investor or a well-seasoned and just looking for a little update, feel free to reach out. All right. Now, consultations, what I talked about briefly before, but like I said, we offer free consultations here, and this is what you can expect from a consultation with an advisor. First is the why, goal setting, looking at why you're looking at investing in real estate, looking at your long-term, short-term goals. The how, we evaluate the options. Sometimes that looks like spreading out and leveraging as many properties as possible, or looking at a higher down payment for a fewer properties. The when, this is also important as well, the deciding on a time frame. It really dictates on when you're investing and where you're investing. The what, setting your criteria, where, identifying markets, and who, introducing you to all the key players. All right. Now here are the markets that we operate in. We have teams in 16 major metropolitan markets across 8 states in the US. And the ones we have circled in green are actually ones that we have Marshall Reddick brick and mortar locations set up in. Now that would be Bay Area, Los Angeles, Orange County, Riverside, San Diego, all in California. What we're going to be talking on tonight, the Fort Myers, Florida area. We also have Clarksville, Tennessee, Oak Grove, Kentucky, which is right across the border, Austin, Texas, and San Antonio, Texas. Now, these other markets, we do have good networks in as well. All right, now this is very important. We get asked this question often. Why do we choose where we invest in? All right, first, number one, the job market. We're looking for markets where folks have a good option and multiple opportunities for employment. We look at vacancy rate. We want places that are going to have a very low vacancy factor. Economic diversity. We look for environments that have different kinds of economic gainful employment so that if something were to happen to one job market or another, you're not going to be affected. Housing affordability, that's not just cost of living, but purchase price as well. Landlord friendly, there's a question mark on the back end of that one, but it's definitely an exclamation mark that it should be, because we're looking at states unlike California where you get to manage your assets effectively. Strong education is a must. If you'll notice, we always have markets where there's good universities and areas in the markets, as well as reliable property management. Now, that's kind of a good bottom right there, because that's exactly what we do here at Marshall Reddick with our property management. One thing to always remember is that managing an asset is just as important as acquiring it, if not even more so, because you can buy a good deal all day long, but if it's managed ineffectively, you're going to lose that profit. So on to the next. Here's a little bit more in-depth explanation why these markets, and as you can see right up top, jobs, jobs, jobs. People who are working are bringing in an income, and they're using that income to pay your mortgage. Landlord friendly, as we stated, you want a place where you can manage your asset. That means that if you're looking to get a problem tenant out of the property, or if you want to just raise the rent, you're allowed to do so. Low cost of living really equates to a high quality of life. Us Californians do get to enjoy a little higher cost of just about everything. But there's other places where you have a lower cost of living, where you can have a higher rent and have a nicer quality of life, even still for an A-class property. High rent versus price, that's a pretty simple equation right there. Low price for purchase, high rent for income. Low vacancy, as we stated, a lower vacancy factor means less risk for our investors. Economic diversity, strong education, and reliable property management. All right, and something else as well, I know the bottom here, but this is very true. We're always staying up to date with not just our local agents, but with what's going on in each of these markets. We're always looking for research and all kinds of things that are coming out to date in each of our markets. All right, without further ado, the man and woman of the hour, I'm going to introduce you to Terry and Ken Duffy. Dynamic duo for sure. Terry has been, I think she is, the longest running realtor we've had in our company. She's been around as a buyer's agent and working with us at Marshall Reddick since 2004. It would be an understatement to say she's worked with thousands. I've personally sent her dozens, and that's just with me. She covers all of Lee County, which is going to be the market we're talking about today. And this is, I'd have to probably say an understatement, close to the 100th presentation that she's done with us here at Marshall Reddick. I can speak from personal experience that her customer service is absolutely unmatched. All of my clients who we work with together have had nothing but raving reviews about her. And she's seasoned with both first-time and long-term investors. She knows how to work with both. And yeah, take it away from here, Terry.
Thanks, that was a nice introduction. Actually, my husband Ken, who's in the photo, obviously, is going to do most of the presentation. He's in the Naples Fire Department. He has a lot of information in his head about construction that's going on and territorial stuff. So he's going to do most of the talking as far as what's going on in our area. And then when we get closer to the end, I'm going to just preview some of the properties that we have and talk a little bit about that. Thank you all for joining us.
Well, hey guys, welcome back again. And thank you, Thomas, for the nice introduction. I really don't know how many presentations we have done. We've been, like I said, with the group since 2004, and we have had a blast. Working with this network has been so much fun. We typically fly out to California 4 to 5 times a year, do presentations, but COVID put a snafu on that. So hopefully things are lightening up, and I know Florida has really been an open state, since shortly after COVID. Myself being a lieutenant on an engine down here for 19 years, I've seen a lot. So I've been doing real estate full time with Terry. My schedule allows me to do that. My background is in construction. I have a 4-year degree in mechanical engineering. I installed elevators in New York City for 20 years, high-rise elevators. And then I moved out to Denver, and then from Denver to Dallas, and then Dallas to Florida. So I've moved around the country doing pretty big jobs. So I have that construction background, and that's kind of where I come in. I dovetail and I help Terry. I do a lot of the legwork, vetting properties, going out, looking at structures, making sure they're a decent investment, sound investment. You know, and I give her the yay or the nay, like, you know, no, let's move on, pass on this one, you know, too much stuff going on with it. So we do a lot of vetting of properties. We're constantly on the MLS every single day. We set up drip feeds for customers. If they have something particular they like, then we do that. So they're constantly streamlined. A lot of customers, if you guys are repeat buyers, you know how the system works. Terry literally, you know, is, like I said, on the internet every single day, looking at our local market and how things are moving. So you have her information there. So take the phone number down, and obviously Marshall Reddick is online, so you guys have the availability to jump on the internet and look it up and see exactly what we do, how we do. For those of you guys that are back for the second and third and fourth time to the webinar, welcome back. And we'll move through the slideshow tonight. It's not a very lengthy one, which is good, because we all know time is money, and time is very valuable. So we're going to give you a quick overview of the state of Florida, or the actual local MSA that we work in down here, which is the Fort Myers area. So we are in Lee County. We have been growing in leaps and bounds. Right now, Lee County has jumped over the 800,000 mark. Down here in Southwest Florida, we are about 2 hours south of Tampa, and we're about 2 hours west of Miami. We're on the quiet side, we like to say, because we're on the Gulf of Mexico. So it's a very kind of newer area. I mean, it's been around a long time, since the 60s and 50s it's been developed, but our population is just tremendously, just quantum leaps, because everyone's coming over here because of the cost of land, the availability of land, and the cost of land is quite a bit affordable than other places in the state of Florida, and as well as the country. So Fort Myers, Cape Coral, and Lehigh Acres are the markets specifically that we sell in and we vet properties in. So Florida's current population is creeping up over 22 million. So we're getting up there. Locally, the news press, we're right now, we're roughly in Lee County. We are moving in permanent residents. Between 200 and 211 residents permanently are filing for homestead in this state. And a lot of that has been driven by, I think a lot has to do with our governor. COVID has driven the Northeast corridor down to the state of Florida. The past 6 months, we have seen a massive influx of people coming down and buying properties. Terry's dealt with many of them buying cash properties. They're coming from states like New York, New Jersey, you know, all over Michigan areas that have been locked down because of COVID. Our state was always a little bit more lenient. We were open. We had a lot more liberties. We never really shut down. You know, business-wise, I mean, there was a lot of restrictions with the masks and everything. So a lot of people are wondering, you know, why some areas are booming more than others. I think the real estate market in general across the country is just going quantum leaps, and I think a lot of that has to do with the availability of money and you know, and low interest rates on houses and stuff. So it is a great time to invest. But Florida specifically, we have seen so many people move down here. Currently, as of last week, there are 500,000 jobs available in the state of Florida. And the jobs down in Southwest Florida and Lee County are growing like leaps and bounds. The airport is going through a massive expansion, and that really has a lot to drive the economy down here. With the economy, with the economics, and a lot of industry is moving down here. We got a lot of corporate headquarters are moving down here, and I'll get into that a little further in the slide, why a lot of corporations move to South Florida. So this is a kind of an overview of our area for those of you guys that are new to the webinar. It kind of is the MSA of Lee County. So Lee County incorporates all of these areas that you see. We've got Cape Coral, which is a really hotbed for a lot of growth and people moving into Lee County. The city of Cape Coral, and the city Cape Coral is one of the largest cities in the state of Florida. It's huge. It's about 120 square miles, and a lot of growth is going on there. So majority of the business of people that want to invest and people that are relocating from other areas are going into Cape Coral because of the availability of land. A lot of people, from what we hear on the street, is that land is a lot cheaper, housing's a lot cheaper down here when you're coming from other areas in the country where the real estate is a lot more higher. So the money goes a lot further down here. Really, a lot of people move down here for the lifestyle. Down where we are, as you can see on this map, every single part of this MSA that we live in is surrounded by water. So the lifestyle is awesome down here. Corporations are moving into Lee County because of the lifestyle. They want their employees to live in an area that is conducive to having a great lifestyle, and that's what just attracts more and more employees to work for some of these corporations. We had Hertz move down here. Genomics just opened up a huge world headquarters. So the areas that we're selling in right now that are really hot is Cape Coral, and then to the east you have Lehigh Acres, which is a bedroom community. It's a little further inland. There is no flood insurance out there, so properties are a lot cheaper. They're a little bit more affordable. And Terry can go into those areas at length with you, speaking about what areas would work best for you. So those are conversations that you guys can have. And then we've got the city of Fort Myers, which is probably the oldest part of the area in Lee County. Fort Myers was an old training facility back in the 50s for the World War II and World War I. They used to train fighter pilots down here. So there's a couple of airfields, and there's a lot of history in Fort Myers. The downtown area has gone through a massive gentrification. They've literally poured billions and millions of dollars into the infrastructure down there. So now there's a lot of new hotels. We've got developers that have come over during the downturn in the market when we had the bubble, and they bought all of the land up against the river. So there's plans for a couple of really big high rises that are going up. I think there's like 7 to 10 20 to 30 story residential condominiums that are going to be coming out of the ground in Fort Myers. And it's a really unique city. It's a great city to go into at night. It's got great nightlife. Our median ages are getting younger down here. So we have a lot of younger people moving into the area. So, and then a little further to the right-hand side, you got the RSW Airport. Like I said, that's going through a major expansion. They're almost done with the new control tower, and they are going to be putting in more terminal space, probably a whole nother wing for gates. And what it is they're expanding the airport because of the amount of traffic that we have coming through here. UPS, FedEx, they're all going to start flying into this airport as a commercial hub now for freight, because they usually fly into the Miami side, and then they have to drive everything across Alligator Alley. So there's a lot of stuff going on with the airport. The real estate, commercial-wise, is just really booming around there. And then down a little further south, you have Estero and Bonita Springs, which is where Terry and I live. We live in Bonita Springs, and we just moved into a house in January that we built. So we moved out and we got on some land in Bonita Springs. So we got a nice piece of land where we got a little bit more space between us. So with that, we'll move to the next slide. And then, of course, I can't forget Sanibel Island. Sanibel Island is always rated in the top 10 beaches in the world. It's a great place to go. It's a very, very quiet, laid-back island. Some of the world-famous shelling. People go out there and they walk the beaches and they just pick up shells along the beach. For whatever reason, the currents in the Gulf of Mexico push these really incredible shells up on the beach. So people go and they vacation there and they stay in houses and condos and they just hang out on the beach and ride bikes. The island majority of the island is all golf carts and bicycles. So it's a great place to visit. If you ever want to come down and visit the area, Sanibel Island is a definite must see. So, oops, sorry. Let me go back one. So why invest in Southwest Florida? Well, we've got water. Everything is water. Everything around here is the lifestyle is on the water, you know, with your kayaking, boating, looking at the water, going out to dinner on the water. The weather is incredible down here. We love it. Taxes are very low. It's a very relaxing lifestyle. State of Florida has no state income tax. It's a very landlord-friendly state. I think, like Thomas had mentioned, the area is conducive to maintaining a property and renting a property. And of course, if you have a tenant that is unruly and you need to get them out, it's it's not a lengthy process for the eviction process to be taken care of and get a new tenant in there. So we have a very, very diverse job base down here. Aviation has gone really through the roof. Medical research, like I said, Genomics moved into the area. They are a cancer research company. Manufacturing, light manufacturing for medical equipment. We've got companies like Arthrex. They're a world-renowned leader. They manufacture prosthetic, obviously people that need knee replacements, shoulder replacements, ankle replacements. Very, very big company. So there's a lot of medical technology down here. Our colleges are groomed around medical programs. So, and then obviously we have a lot of IT technology companies that are in the area. A large portion of our economy is driven by commercial and residential building right now. And tourism is always the backbone for Southwest Florida. We during the winter months, we have people come down and we call them snowbirds. So in the winter time, usually right after Thanksgiving, when it usually starts getting cold up in the Northeast and in the Midwest and everything, people come down here and they spend 6 months. So Lee County's population is, like I said, typically right around 700,000 to 800,000. In the winter months, when it's winter in other parts of the country, our population usually swells to about 1.4 million. Everybody comes down here and they spend money, they vacation, they spend their winters down here. You can't hardly go to the restaurants. If you want to go to the restaurants anytime during Thanksgiving through Easter, you have to literally go at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because from 5 to 9 o'clock at night, the restaurants are just hammered packed. So it's a big, big push for employers. They do a lot of hiring, additional hiring during the what we call the snowbird season, and that's typically happens year in and year out. So that's where we see a lot of tourism come into the area. So obviously Florida has a very high ranking in one of the best states for starting a business by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I got a slide further that shows why it's a good place, and it has everything to do with taxes. If you own a limited liability corporation or a company, Florida wants you to come down here and open up a business, and that means more jobs, and more jobs is good. People moving into the area, they need rentals. Terry can touch base on the office, on the amount of properties that Terry sells. They're constantly calling Terry saying, hey, you got any properties coming online? Have you made any sales coming up? And she said, I got 2 or 3 closing this month. And they have a waiting list at the office, at the Marshall Reddick office in Cape Coral, of people waiting for properties to come online. So if you're typically in contract right now, as soon as the property closes, your property is rented most of the time before you even close on it. They already have a prospective renter that has been vetted to go into the property. So Southwest Florida's job growth is approximately 2.8%. That really has been steady for the last 3 years. The labor force is only growing by 1.6. Like I said, there's 500,000 jobs in the state of Florida that are available right now. I think a lot of it has to do with COVID too. The government's infusing money to people to stay home. So I think those programs are going to start drying up, and these jobs are going to start filling in. So right now there are everybody down here. Everywhere you go, every truck that you see, it's like we're hiring, we're hiring, we're hiring. So there is a very, very robust job market down here. It's been that way since probably the last 3 or 4 years, more so now. So Florida's GDP, the gross domestic product, is right at 50 billion and has grown by 35% over the last 10 years, which is massive. Cape Coral in Southwest Florida were recently ranked in by Forbes the 3rd best place to start a job, or place to go get a job, and jobs in the U.S. So we're usually on the list somewhere in Forbes or on Zillow. Someone's always, or the Realtor.com. So the unemployment rate is right at 3.4%, which it's been bouncing between 2.8 and 3.5. So we really haven't seen much change in that. But I will tell you this, there are tons of jobs. If you can fog a mirror down here, you can get a job. If you come down here and say you can't get a job, you're lazy. So, so corporations relocating to South Florida and the Fort Myers area. So in Florida, if you wanted to move a corporation down here, and we'll just use Genomics, they're a big cancer research company. They're the place that doctors go to find answers about cancer. So they built a $60 million world headquarter facility right near the airport now. So as a corporation, they pay no income tax on their business, state income tax. So we had Hertz move down here in 2015, and the state of Florida said for 15 years you will not have to pay any corporate income tax on your business. So that's what lured Hertz down here. There is no state personal income tax in the state of Florida. A lot of our tax revenue is generated from what we call a bed tax. So if you come here and you vacation in the state, when you rent a hotel and you rent a room, there's a tax on that room that we make the people coming into the state and visit the state. They're the ones who pay a large portion. So that's why our budget is very strong in the state of Florida. No corporate franchise tax on capital stock. So if you're a company selling products and you have to stock, say, 6 to 8 months worth of inventory, most states will charge you at your, every single quarter or, annually, they will charge you for the capital stock. If you don't get rid of the stock, you got to pay tax on it. So they don't do that. So the tax incentives are numerous. This is only half of the list. So there's a state level property tax is assessed. We call it a homestead down here. So on your private house, your taxes can never go up more than 3% a year once you live down here permanently. There's a state level property tax assessed for corporations as well. So no property tax on business inventories. Same thing as stock and inventories. No sale tax on manufacturing, machinery, and equipment. So we have Caterpillar is down here. We have a bunch of other manufacturers that make lifts. Tampa is very big in manufacturing as well. So no property tax on goods in transit for up to 180 days. So just kind of wanted to just touch base on that. If you have any answers, questions like why are companies moving here? Why are the jobs down here? Well, this is why, because it's a very, very friendly area to do business. And all these counties, Lee County, Collier County, Port Charlotte, they're all working together cohesively to make this environment very comfortable for companies to move to. Attractive renters market. Lee County, specifically the Cape Coral market, the median rent currently is about $1,647 per month. That varies depending on structure, depending on location. Terry can get more into that. So if you're interested in purchasing a house or you see something on realtor.com and it's a duplex, you can say, hey, Terry, what would this rent for in this area? So she can really specifically talk. But in broad terms, that this is the median rent that we pulled from the data out of the local market. So we have been seeing annual rent increases of 3%. That's been pretty steady. And here's a percentage that is really blows me away, is that 40% of the households in Lee County are renters. And that tells us that there are a lot of people moving here into this area, and they come into the area. Sometimes they're still working on their credit, trying to get it where they need to be to obtain a mortgage. So their option is, they move into the area for jobs and then they have to rent. So that's huge. So the rental market is very, very strong in our area. Colleges are very, very strong. These are two of the main hitters. Florida Gulf Coast University and Florida Southwestern. Florida Gulf Coast University has a massive program for PAs and CNAs and nursing. So what's going on with the hospitals? Like Lee Memorial Health Systems is one of the largest employers down here. I think they employ like over 30,000 people. They basically poach all these students out of these nursing programs before they're even, out of college. So in their sophomore and senior years, these students have already done internships and they've already got jobs locked down. So there's such a really good working relationship between the local hospitals and Lee Memorial Health Systems is a big conglomerate of hospitals. They absorbed all the local hospitals, about 8 or 10 of them in Lee County, all under one umbrella. So the colleges are very strong. Florida Gulf Coast University, their student enrollment now is probably got to be close to 20,000. The campus is continually growing. And then Florida Southwestern used to be a community college about 5 years ago, and then they came in and they turned it into a 4-year university because they wanted to come in and compete with Florida Gulf Coast. So they're in the process now of starting, big programs with a sports program, baseball, football, all that kind of stuff. So, but these are the two major colleges in our area. Of course, there's 9 or 10 other ones. We've got Hodges. There's so many other, colleges that are smaller, but they're satellites, but these are the big hitters down here. So JetBlue Ballpark is just one of the spring training camp areas. Florida is big, obviously, if you're a baseball fan. When spring training hits down here, the population of baseball people come down and they literally pump tons and tons of money into the market. What this causes in our area is this ballpark was built in 2000, I think in 15 or no 12, 2012, and since then there's been a lot of growth going on around this. But spring training is a big draw in the area, so that's just another thing that happens down in Florida. You know, when you think of Florida, you think of spring training, baseball, and it's just a big draw to the area. This campus is literally probably, I would say, less than a half a mile from the airport. So it's a huge facility. It's growing. There's a lot of hotels. If you have a pen handy, write down Fort Myers Skyplex. If you go to YouTube and you put in Fort Myers Skyplex, there is a massive project going on now. It is a mixed-use industrial light commercial. It's about a little over 1,100 acres just on the other side of the airport, and they're developing that now. It's another big project, bringing in more jobs to the area and more business to the area. So talk about Cape Coral. This is a really good website to go to, capecoral.net. You guys write it down, take a screenshot with your phones. There is so much information about Cape Coral. It was nicknamed the Waterfront Wonderland, a boater's paradise. It's got over 400 miles of boating canals, and it really is. It's like a Venice, Italy. It's got canals running all throughout the city, and people live in houses, and they have big boats in their backyard, and the city is progressing. There's a lot of big projects that are coming, breaking ground. As of next year, we heard a couple of days ago about the Bimini Basin. But the whole entire city is based around water and people that love to live on the water. So there's a lot of projects that are coming out of the ground. The real estate provides access to the Gulf of Mexico. So if you want to live in an area, you know, like if you live in California, obviously water is a little hard to access. I mean, you have the ocean, but Florida's got tons and tons of estuaries and canals and stuff. So people move down here, they love that lifestyle, and that's what Cape Coral offers. There's another photo in this next slide. You can see all those dark areas, those are canals, and all those houses are sitting on those canals, and people have boats in their backyards. So the water on the right-hand side, there's a bridge up there on the top. That's the Veterans Memorial Bridge. That's the river that leads to the Gulf of Mexico. So all those houses, you get in your boat, you're in the Gulf of Mexico within 20 minutes. So Cape Coral metro area ranks 9th in Forbes in America's fastest growing cities in 2018. Cape Coral is the second largest city in Florida in terms of landmass. Population continues at a steady pace with an estimated population of 189,000 to 200,000 in the coming year. I think they're actually over 200,000 right now, fueling a lot of commercial growth. There's a lot of big stuff going on in Cape Coral, and that's why I would say a majority of sales that Terry works on is in the Cape Coral area. It's just a photo of some of our beaches. This is why people love Florida. They love to come down here and they enjoy our beaches. We have really beautiful water. Fort Myers Beach on the right, there's probably about 30 to 40 miles in Fort Myers of white sandy beaches, and then that goes all the way down the coast into Naples and Collier County. So the beaches are beautiful. This time of year, it's really nice. The water's clear, and it's just nice and warm, getting warm. The economy and housing market in Southwest Florida is witnessing the same robust activity that's engulfing the entire state. Everywhere in the state of Florida is growing. Population and jobs are growing. Lee County is business friendly, like I mentioned earlier in the slides. A lot of corporations are moving here, not only for the tax incentives, but for the lifestyle of their employees. It's not really hard to get your employees to follow you down here to Florida if you're going to move your world headquarters. So, and there's more demand in the area than there is supply in real estate. So that's really good for renters, right? So there's exactly the things that rental property investors love to hear and love to see, that the demand is obviously a lot more than the supply. So we had a 70% decrease in our inventory because the amount of sales that are hitting the area. Home sales as a whole went up 157%, and that's a lot to do with people moving into the area. So, you know, when Terry's working for these properties, if you're an investor and you're thinking about, you know, making the move and you've done your diligence, she's had many conversations, I hear her in the office, and the people, they just hesitate and the property's gone and then they move on to the next one. So if you have that conversation with Terry and she says, listen, you got to move fast, it's not because of a sales pitch, it's just because you got to move fast. If that's what you want, then you got to jump on it, because the properties, they literally are coming on the market and going off the market if they're priced, you know, very good and you know, aggressively. So Lee County home values, these are ones we had just updated on the slide. The home value index jumped from last year. A typical house in Lee County was 252 and it jumped to 282. 1 year appreciation in Cape Coral was 17.5, and a 1 year appreciation in Fort Myers was 13.3. So if you own a piece of property in South Florida, you saw some pretty good appreciation, which is very good for the investment over the long haul. So this is the company I've been talking about, Genomics. They built a state-of-the-art oncology laboratory headquarters in Fort Myers. It's literally right across I-75 from the airport. So they are a premier cancer diagnostic and pharma services company offering innovative. They're out in California. I've seen them out there when we've come out to Orange County, and I've seen their buildings in the Bay Area. So they're literally, I think the building is pretty much getting ready for CO and getting occupied, but it's the artist rendering doesn't do it justice. It's a really nice campus that sits off of I-75 for anybody driving by to see it. So just another big thing. The Port Authority, this is the new $80 million control tower, and they built a brand new fire station. So the Port Authority got these massive grants from the federal government. They said, hey, if you want to expand the airport, you got to build a new control tower. You got to put the infrastructure in. You guys got to have ARF. You got to have firefighting trucks. You got to hire more firefighters. So now that that stuff is pretty much coming to a head, they're going to move forward with adding a second runway, which is huge. So nearly 10 million annual passengers pass through the airport locally. That's 1.2 million a month, average of 11,000 flights monthly. We're starting to see Lufthansa and a couple other European carriers are looking to hub out of the airport. So construction phase of the control tower obviously created a bunch of jobs, and there's always a lot of work being spun off just because of the airport. So it's kind of like the heartbeat of the area in Lee County right now. There's so much construction and spin-off and companies moving into the area because of commercial property that's available. So Cape Coral Metropolitan Statistical Area is one of the nation's job growth leaders. Lee County population, that number is now over 800,000. 1.3 million annual visitors who spend $1.2 billion. So the local year-round population spikes more than 14%, or spiked more than 14% from 2012 to 16. Between 2017 and 18, we had 23,000 people, permanent residents, move into Lee County. So that's 23,000 people moved in 1 year, 2017, 2018, into Lee County. It was huge. So we just see more and more people moving into the area, and it's expected to continue to grow. So we got a really good, strong market down here, and it's been that way. Cape Coral's commercial corridor, retail restaurants, there is over $500 million in commercial real estate that is being developed along the Pine Island corridor. The list in the green box is just a series of companies that have moved into the area. BJ's, Bonefish Grill. A lot of these restaurants have been in for over a year. A couple have been there a couple of years, but it just shows you the continued pace of growth in the Cape Coral area. All these companies, the retails, restaurants, commercial buildings, BJ's, Costco's, all that kind of stuff is there to support the residents that are moving into the area. So Cape Coral still has a lot of land available for build out, and that place is just going to continue to see developments throughout the next probably 10 years. Another big project coming out of the ground, Downtown Village Square. It's a $28 million project. You're going to have a couple of high-rise towers with a couple of lower residential towers, and then they'll have shopping and all kinds of restaurants and bistros down on the ground space. So that's another project that's due to come out of the ground. The next one, I believe, is the Bimini Basin. I just heard last, was it 2 days ago, 3 days ago, that this is going to break ground next year in 2022. as you see to the lower part of the picture there, you see those 2 towers and that shaded area in the green box. They're going to basically take all the waterfront that's in that half semicircle area, and they're going to build residential units with, you know, restaurants and commercial in the below area. So it's going to be a large project. It's probably going to be, you know, 2, 3, 4 year build out. They're going to do it in phases, but that's due to break ground. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Cape Coral, and this is just one of many. So we spoke about Lehigh Acres when I said they were a bedroom community. It's a little lower price per you know, price point for houses and duplexes. Won't hit on it too much, but Lehigh Acres is a bedroom community. It's affordable. It's a growing area as well. A lot of people move out there when they come down if they're retirees. They definitely can afford a little bit. You know, the houses are more affordable down there because the land prices are a little bit lower. So their population is going, you know, well over 120,000. And it's, like I said, it's only about 35 or 40 minutes from Fort Myers, and you know, probably about 40 minutes from Cape Coral. But it's inland. But like I said, there's a lot of development going on in Lehigh Acres. Terry can get into that more in depth in conversation if you touch base with her. So this is the detailed market data packet on the Marshall Reddick website. If you haven't been there, you can just go on the Marshall Reddick website. You can create an account. You can become a user on the account, and there's a lot of information there for our MSA. So there's a PDF form data packet that you can print off, and it goes into depth on a lot more numbers and statistics about our area, and they're constantly upgrading and you know, updating the statistics that are in that detailed packet. So that's online available for you when you go to marshallreddick.com. So you'll see the link to it. So I'm just going to switch it over to Terry now. She's got a few feature properties that she'll go over, and she'll kind of run through the profit loss sheets on these things, and I'll give it over to Terry.
Okay, this first one that you guys are looking at, this is the brand new build home by a company called Christopher Allen Homes, and they build absolutely gorgeous homes. However, they build them once the addresses are contracted on. So this one here, and they move fast. So normally they'll send me out a new address list like every Monday, and then I go in and I just kind of change the address on the Marshall Reddick side. Once the address is under contract, then they start building. So all these are going to have like a 7 to 8 month build out time, but they are gorgeous homes. I'm a big fan of new build properties because of the, you know, low maintenance, you know, builder's warranty, all that kind of stuff. But down here, I'll always read the descriptions, because I put as much stuff in here as I possibly can fit, and information that I can get a hold of, so you kind of know what's going on. And also on these, I do have spec sheets that I email along with the properties if you guys are interested in something like that. But it's just, I start the list price, you know, down payment of 25%. On the initial repair cost, that is just something that I guesstimate, because there's always going to be something out of pocket after you close on a property, whether it be the, you know, if some of the builders don't put window blinds on the ceiling or on the windows, some of them don't put, you know, towel racks in the bathroom, you know, it can be little stuff like that. So on resale properties, you know, I kind of estimate if it's going to need repainted or stuff like that. So I usually kind of go between $1,500 and $3,500 depending on the photos, or, you know, if I've seen the property. But that's where that comes from, and it can vary. It can be higher, it can be lower. Depend once we get the inspection report and stuff like that. This is the rent. The rents are, you know, obviously they're estimates, but I get most of them from the property management company, so they are normally spot on. Sometimes they even rent higher than we think they're going to. These numbers here, I think Marshall Reddick kind of figures these up. The taxes I take right off of our county tax site. It's just a tax estimator, so I get that from there. The insurance I get directly from an insurance company that I work with down here for the past 3 years, and they always give me the best rates. So they do fluctuate a little bit because, you know, when they reach out to you, they always ask for your date of birth, because I don't know why the date of birth has an effect on your insurance premium, but it does. Our management company, Marshall Reddick, our guys get 8% for the management fee. The normal around our area is 10 to 13%. I don't really do anything with HOA fees because I feel like it takes profit out of your pocket, and that's not what investors normally want. but I have had a couple investors that prefer gated communities and they don't mind the HOA fees. So if it is something that you are interested, I mean, there are plenty of the properties around here that do have HOA fees. But for the most part, the stuff you'll see that I put on the Marshall Reddick website will not have that. Just like I try to stay out of flood zones because flood insurance, you know, is going to be at least as much as your regular insurance. In older properties, flood insurance can be up to, you know, $2,600 a year. And once again, that takes profit out of your pocket. So I have a link that I can run the property address through to find out if it is in a flood zone or not. And you won't really see any properties that I post in flood zones. The utilities on this one, the utilities are because this one is on well and septic, and we have both. Some properties are on well and septic, some are on city utilities. If you're not familiar with a well and septic system, you can just Google it. It's not a big deal, but I understand if you're not familiar or you've never heard of it before, it can be a little scary. It's just where the builders, they bury a well in the backyard and the water's pumped up through it. It goes through a water system and into the house. It's like bottled water. There are a little bit extra cost because in the water system it has to be kept salt. It's not expensive. $55 when you have the property management company set you up on the salt system. That's what it's for. And we suggest you do that if you are on well and septic, because if you get a tenant that doesn't keep the salt in the system or neglects it, they can ruin that system, and then it can be costly. Landscaping, that's good for like monthly mowing. And the same thing, the property management, they can set that up for you also to make sure that you don't, if you get a tenant that doesn't want to take care of the, or mow the lawn or something like that, then the property can start looking run down. So better to spend a little bit of money and have them take that care of, because then they can keep track of what's going on. So it breaks it down. This would be your monthly income. And then these are estimated by Marshall Reddick, like estimated maintenance of 5%. That's on a new build. And you're going to have the builder's warranty, so you're not going to have any maintenance the first year and sometimes the second. Estimated vacancy. These numbers can be manipulated on the website when you go there also, if you put your cursor over the top of it to, see, like, our vacancy is extremely low. Right now we're at 0%, but we've been at around 4% over the past 7 years in our area. Right now, Kenny mentioned earlier, our property management company literally is out of properties to rent. So they're waiting for, basically me to close more deals, and they're hoping that the properties I'm closing have vacancies and are not completely rented already, because they have so many people waiting. The leasing fee, that's where they place a tenant, and it's 50% of the first month rent. If there's already tenants in there, you are not charged that fee. Then down here, the projected, they do this on a 15-year profit projection, and then of course the ROI on this one's, almost 18.5%. How do I go to the next one? A little bit more. Okay, this is your basic new build duplex in Cape Coral. This one here is actually a 2016, but the 2020s are the same style. The agents that I work with that are the builder's reps, they work with the same builder. And these are nice. They're always 3-bedroom, 2-bath. They each get a 1-car garage. Each unit runs anywhere from 1,200 to 1,210 square feet, so they're nice. They always have a level 1 granite countertops in the kitchen. Some have stainless steel appliances, some have black appliances. It just depends on what's available. Everybody's having a shortage of appliances right now, so that's been a big thing around here. But this is the list price for this one, $450. Initial repair costs, like I said, $1,500. I don't know until we actually get the inspection done on that. And then you go down, the rents on these, this is how much we've done. The rents on the new builds, literally a year ago, were about $1,250 per unit, and now we're up to like, $1,550 per unit on a brand new build. So it's pretty interesting that, this one's 2016, it'll be, probably $1,495 or something close to that. But also the taxes, same thing, insurance, management fees. You can just go down the line. These are all going to be pretty consistent on these, and then you can see this is going to be your fixed monthly expenses, monthly income after the after the fixed expenses. And these, of course, vary because you never know exactly what your maintenance is going to be. We have pretty long-term tenants a lot. Our tenants usually, I think, stay an average of 3 to 4 years, but we've got tenants that have been in the same properties for 10 years. I had one that was in there for 29 years in the same property that one of our investors purchased. So once again, come down and read this stuff here so you always know. And if it doesn't say well and septic, it means it's on city utilities, which this one is. The other thing with city utilities, a lot of these properties in Cape Coral, I guess about 20 years ago, it grew so much, so they started a utility expansion plan, and they started in the south and are just moving slowly at however the rate the county's moving at. But when they get to your quadrant where your property is, you get a letter or a knock on your door or a phone call saying, hey, Louis, we're here, we're going to start putting in the city utilities, and they disconnect your well and septic, and they lay the pipes and they change you over. They also hit you with about a $25,000 to $30,000 assessment fee. Some people paid up front, they've got the money. Most people, the county lets them divide it into their property taxes over a 20-year period. So on a lot of these properties, it might say assessments paid, or there might be an assessment balance left, because then that's transferred over to the new buyer at closing. And it can be anywhere from, $4,000 to $18,000, or higher, depending on how much has been paid down over the years. But like I said, most of them are already included in your property taxes by the time they're going to resell them. And if you purchase in Cape Coral in the north, depending on how far out you are, and you start out in well and septic, just know that sometime, it could be a year from now, it could be 10 years from now, you will go through through the utility expansion, because when they get to your property address, they'll put that in also. So it's kind of like pay Peter now, pay Peter later, because you'll find that the properties that are already on city utilities are also going to be higher priced than the properties that are on well and septic. And the properties in the south areas are always going to be a little higher priced than the properties in the north, because the south is that's closer to the downtown area. It's closer to the bridges that go over into Fort Myers also. Oops, I went too far. Okay, this is a resale duplex, a little bit older in Cape Coral. This is on well and septic, or excuse me, on city utilities, and I think all the assessments are paid on this one just because it's older. It's a 1984, but it's been renovated on the inside. So it's got the granite countertops, it's got, the laundry in there. And so just always read this, because like I said, I put as much information down here as I can. And I also, when I'm up here, when you look at these rents, these are the rents that we can get now. It's current market value for the rents. Most resale properties are not at the current market value. They're normally on last year's rent, and the sellers don't update the rents, because if they're going to sell it, they leave that so the new owner can decide what rent they want to charge them. And so then down here, I will tell you what the properties are at, what the current is at. If I've got that information from the sellers. And some of them give me a lot of information, some of them don't want to give me any information. But just know that. So always read all this stuff, because that's important. But these are nice. I mean, I like when they have the concrete driveways. This one doesn't have garages, but some investors like garages, some investors don't like garages. So a lot of different, wants and not wants. This is kind of a unique one. This big part of the center, this is a UV, or it's called big, like a travel trailer garage, RV, not a UV, a big RV garage. And the people who own it actually rented this out for like $400 a month. So, you get your rent on, if your tenant doesn't want to use it, that's an option that could be done just for more income. But it's nice. And this one has double garages, which is nice also. This is a 2008, 2-bedroom, 2-bath on each side. It gives a little bit of description down here about the RV hookup and everything like that, and everything that's in there. Right now, both of these are rented for $1,200, which is a bit low. Those could go up this could definitely be rented for $1,500 per month per unit. Also, these properties, I go on the, I get up every morning, go on the website to check to see if I need to update the Marshall Reddick site, because sometimes the properties come and go. This one actually went under contract, and so I had taken it off of the website. It came back on the MLS just a few days ago because the buyer couldn't get financing for whatever reason that he did. This is a large one. This is a commercial property, 6 units. We don't get a lot of these. There's probably 3 or 4 that are available. So, and then some people, you know, like the bigger units, they got, you know, more doors if they're looking for something like that. We've actually got a 7 unit under contract right now. But these fully rented, same thing. This is a 6+ 3 units, or 1 bedroom, 1 bath, 3 or 2 bedroom, 1 bath. They all have washers and dryer hookups. They all have separate meters, which is a good thing because all the tenants always pay their own electricity, their own water. They pay their utilities, so that's not an expense that our owners have. You know, this down here, this is kind of a breakdown that they gave us on the MLS, so I just kind of added that into it because we're always trying to get profit and loss statements for anything that is a commercial building. So like I said, they're few and far between. Same with 4 units. We don't get quads very often, and when we do, they tend to sell quickly just because people hold on to them, and then there's people that they just want bigger properties, so they don't last very long. And I will tell you that in our market, which you probably already know, this is kind of the way all across the nation right now, everything is selling for at full price, and most of the time over full price right now because there's multiple offers that come in on those properties. And we put a lot of offers in, you know, that we get outbidded in, especially if they're cash, because cash is always king. But we have had people, you know, not take our cash offers because they got a higher finance offer also. So initial repair costs, I estimated this one high because I don't know what's going on. You got a lot of units in there, and if anything, you know, needs to be renovated. I think some of the units have been renovated, maybe some of them hasn't. So this could be a lot lower. We won't know until, you know, it's under contract, and obviously we get the inspection done. But we do have these. And also keep in mind, most of the properties that we sell don't even make it to the Marshall Reddick website. And that is just a time thing because properties are being sold so quickly. By the time I get all the information from the listing agent, because I call them and I want to know, you know, when leases expire, you know, if there's been any upgrades. And a lot of times, by the time, you know, 2 days go past and they finally get back to me, that the property's already been sold. And so I don't even have time to get it on the website because I like to be able to put all the proper information on the website instead of, you know, you guys coming back and saying, well, hey, it's on the website, but, you know, and then the numbers end up being different or wrong, you know, after you go under contract. So if there are properties you see that, you know, on realtor.com or Zillow or something like that, you're welcome to send those to me and I can vet the properties for you. Okay, so that's just a few of the properties. And like I said, the properties on the website can change daily. So it's always good to just keep, you know, if you're searching and waiting for, you know, something you want, just, you know, keep checking and checking. Or you can let me know exactly what you want, and then I just kind of make notes to myself. Well, on paper, actually. My memory's not that good. And so there's a lot of properties that do come up, and I just send them directly to the investors that I've already had contact with, because I know that's what they're working, that's what they're waiting for. Okay, I think this goes back to you, Thomas.
All right, yeah, I can take it from here. Okay. We've got a little bit of maintenance and vacancy. Did you already go over this or no?
No, I did not. The property.
Perfect. Perfect. Maintenance and vacancy. This is something to think about as an investor. This is for the beginner investors, I guess you can say. But it's a factor that you equate into properties. Something to key into as well is the A class, B class, and C class aspect of it. We can actually go over that more in a consultation. We call it the Reddick Property Rating Scale.
Right.
All right. And here we go. Here's some information on the Reddick Property Rating eBook. Essentially what that does is it breaks down each of the classes and explains why the difference maintenance and vacancy are for each property. All right, connect with us. We are actually on a bunch of different things. Feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn as well. That's my favorite one, to connect with different people professionally and get to really know the team. And then last but not least, sorry to rush through so quick. I know we're just hitting 7:30 here. Scheduling a complimentary consultation. So if you liked what Terry had to say, what we had to say, what her husband had to say, you can reach out to me here. Here's my direct line. I'm going to go ahead and leave this up, 949-885-8168, or shoot me an email. But I bet you what, I think I've reached out to every single person who had signed up for this individually, so you can probably just check your email inbox for that information as well. And yeah, thank you again, Terry, for everything. Thank you again for everybody here. Appreciate it for you taking some time out of your busy schedule. And if you're still here in California, it's the third longest day of the year. The sun is still up. You can go see that sunset and yeah, and enjoy. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you.